Hi everyone, good afternoon and welcome to your Friday afternoon habit. We have hashtag Chakrachat. So I'll be greeting you in two different ways for today. Good afternoon for all our Filipino viewers and good morning to our guest for today because of our guest comes from Lebanon and we are so very excited to have him to be our main guest for our Chakra Chat session for this afternoon. 2 weeks ago, we had our topic on mindset, how to set our minds in terms of having that abundance, no? And it was a very enriching discussion with teacher Eileen. And as we move towards the end of September, we always want to pause and rest for a while, being reminded on how to be mindful with our life. Living each day as if it's our last will make so much difference in our paradigm. And we are deeply honored to have our guest for today who comes from Lebanon. So, our guest for today is Teacher Ayman. He is an international yoga teacher, a Thai yoga massage teacher, and practitioner. Yoga has been part of his life since 2003, and in 2012, he started a journey in Asia that showed him the true purpose of life and resulted in ending his corporate career and becoming a yoga teacher. He has traveled, learned, and taught in many yoga centers and around the world. And the experience made him realize his own dharma to share his findings of the traditional and authentic yogic science and philosophy. In 2020, he founded Guru Yoga Shala, a cozy yoga and massage center in Beirut. Ayman is known for his calmness in conducting warm and inviting classes and workshops that are best described as physically, mentally, and spiritually uplifting. So it's very nice, no, that you know, it might be quite difficult to bring speakers internationally, because of the time difference and this opportunity because of technology. We are very, very much excited to have our guest for today, and we thank him for being available in spite of his busy schedule. So, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our guest for today, Teacher Ayman. Hi, Teacher Ayman.
Namaste to you, Sam. Namaste to everyone.
Thank you very
Thank
much for saying yes for Chakra Chat, Teacher Edmund, and we are very, very excited to learn from you for today.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I would like to ask you, Teacher Ayman, we here in the Philippines have heard about what happened recently to your country, and we are all saddened by the news. Can you tell us how your people, how has it been since the time that the event happened, and how are you guys hanging on?
Yes, you heard correct. It was the biggest, I think the third biggest explosion worldwide since long time ago, after Hiroshima and another one also in Japan. It was devastating. I was not too far from the explosion, maybe about 2 kilometers. It was loud, it was scary, a lot of destructions, a lot of death, injured. Um, it's been almost 1 month something now, and people are recovering. We are getting a lot of aids, international people from international organization, government. The shock will stay for a while, which is expected. Psychological uh, turnaround also is expected. But eventually people will move on, and we are doing our best to help in such times by facilitating gathering and yoga classes and talk about it and just let people express their fears and emotions. So it's getting there. It will take some time, but we are recovering.
I'm interested to know, Teacher Ayman, in terms of how does yoga help in the recovery process that your people are experiencing?
Good question. I get this question a lot. Um, when we say yoga, it's extremely broad perspective. But we start from the yoga asana. So when the students come to the class, physically they come tensed, closed. And somehow, they start to release all the tension out. They start to breathe properly, deeply. And this creates resonance. They come back to their nature. They start to come back to their essence, including some maybe changes of diet so the body doesn't stress, minimizing coffee, stopping smoking maybe. So, we connect them with their own nature. And your own nature is just peace, it's just beautiful, it's love, it's light. There is two realities. There is inner reality and outer reality. We say if we focus and dig deep within to achieve the beautiful inner reality, then you see that beauty in the outer reality. So it's really a whole broad perspective to yoga. It takes more than just one class or even 1 year to grasp as much as you can. I've been in yoga as a teacher almost 8 years, and till now I'm scratching the surface, I can say. But yoga does help a lot, a lot.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Teacher Ayman. Recently, I was able to watch your TED Talk on how yoga changed your life. In fact, the title of the TED Talk was quite intriguing because I think the title was "How Yoga Destroyed My Life." And I know for a fact that you've been doing yoga since 2003. Can you tell us what led you to that practice of yoga? Your TED Talk, you mentioned a portion of this already, but we wanted to know straight from the horse's mouth how you were magnetized by yoga.
Let's go back in time. 2003, I was a student at University of Wollongong in Australia. I am, by the way, engineer by qualification, software engineer. So 2003, I was on my third year. So we had a special event in one of the buildings, art buildings, and there was one yoga class in one room. And I enter and I do some, postures, and the final relaxation, what caught me the most. I felt different after the class. I felt that something, part of me, unfolded. It was closed, it was hidden, and I felt really good. So since then, I've been following yoga. I was reading more about it. Due to my study and stuff, I couldn't really take it 100%, but I was on and off until 2012, where I took it more serious. And 2013, I became a yoga teacher. It was a quite long journey, and I'm very glad I left all that corporate thing behind. Now, as you said, the TED Talk was how yoga destroyed my life. And a lot of people actually don't like the title. But you know what, Sam? Destruction is not always bad. Sometimes we have to destroy things to build a proper foundation for things that really we want in our lives. Keeping the old stuff and build more and more and more on top of it, it's not always beneficial. So yes, yoga destroyed the old me, the me that was maybe built by society, by family. They've done the best, but it was time for me to say, hold on a sec, I'm gonna recreate myself through the science of yoga. So that's what the Tata come from, destroyed my life in a good way.
That's very nice, Teach. And I totally agree that sometimes the destruction would be very important for transformation. However, diba, isn't that teach that when something is destroyed, it becomes so uncomfortable? I would like to ask you now, how did you go through that discomfort of adjusting from a very straightforward vision of yourself being in a corporate world and shifting to a career of there are certain levels of uncertainty of being a yoga teacher. How did you feel that adjustment and that shift in your life?
Good question. When I started to think about becoming a yoga teacher, when you start to tell this to other people, like family and friends, in my case, not even one person supported. I mean, nowadays, I think yoga, it's more known. And if someone says, I want to become a yoga teacher, you know, people know. But back then, like, they will laugh at you, 2012. So I would summarize everything as, in one word, uncertainty, doubtful. So I was always concerned, am I doing the right choice? Like leaving a fantastic position in Dubai. Back then I was working in Dubai. Fantastic position, a good salary, stable life. Am I crazy? Am I going crazy? Is it something I should take? But I'm glad I took it. And like the Buddha said, the best roads are the road which are least taken. You know, the path that least taken by people. So I took it and I have no regrets. My life changed. I traveled because of who I became. I met so many beautiful people like yourself now and Seven. And I'm contributing into the healing of the world. Whereas I would say before, you know, the corporate, not always healing. It's mostly, you know, working for yourself, first of all. Second, maybe the company. Okay, the country maybe, but it's nothing really on a deeper healing happening. So yeah.
So, Teach, what was your main motivation of getting into teaching yoga? What led you to teach yoga? I'm sure that you have mentioned this in your TED talk that one of the reasons were your travels in different places, and I would like to know what have you acquired from all these travels that you have done.
Mm. The thing is, we have, by nature, we have the tendency to share. So if you're suffering, naturally you will share your suffering. You will hurt other people. And if you're healed, or you're feeling love, you share your love as well. And I guess in my case, yoga benefited me so much. I felt alive again. And I felt like, hey, I would like to actually learn more about this and at the same time maybe teaching it. And when you teach something, you become perfect as a student in that domain, you know. For you teaching something, it's not just teaching it, you also live it in and out. Now, somehow in me also, I had the tendency to want to see the world. I want to travel. I want to, you know, because I was kind of mostly corporate, you stay in one place, okay, every now and then traveling, but not much. So to travel for 7 years, non-stop, different countries, seeing, you know, all the cultures, all the different type of food, all the different type of yoga, different type of philosophies, religion, etc., etc. It does enrich your philosophy about life. You know, you start to see life in a different perspective, different than from just your cubicle in front of a laptop, behind the screen. So it was quite an experience, to be honest. And last year, I decided I'm going to come back to Lebanon and do something here because I felt a pull karmically to do something here. And soon after, revolution happened. Soon after, Corona happened. And it's still going. Now the explosion. So I think I'm in the right place in the right time. So yeah.
Yeah. So, Teach, you mentioned that the different cultures that you were exposed to help you create a sense of a philosophy on how you are teaching yoga as of the moment. I'm very curious, considering that you have already been practicing and teaching yoga for a long time already. Could we know your yoga philosophy and how has it changed because of your experiences thus far?
All right. See, when something happened to you, this is an example. When something happens to you, you say, why did that happen to me? Why universe? Why? You know, you start to blame the universe, you start to blame the outside, you start to act as a victim. We fail to see that you attracted this into your life. Yeah, we attract the things into our life because the things we attract are actually teachers in disguise. Whether it's a good teacher disguised as a good teacher or a bad teacher. Okay, so yoga makes us see this. So once you see this and you establish that I am here on this life as a student, then you're reacting toward life, your imprint about life, it changes. You become you become students more than as a victim of the world. You start to truly learn now, and truly every event that happens in your life, you start to take it as a lesson, rather as a hardship or as a pleasure. Just lesson. It's all lesson. And the more you see it that way, the more you start to improve, like a classroom. You go further, higher and higher and higher. And this is what basically life is for us yogis. We take life as a school. Universe comes from the word university, or university comes from the word universe. And basically the whole thing is just a huge classroom, basically. You attract the things you need into your life because you need to evolve, you need to learn from it. Again, whether it's bad or good, it's all right. We don't label things right and left, good and bad. We take them as they are. So when you travel and see different cultures, and you learn from this culture and you learn from this culture, and you see the world, you see life, you see countries, you see cultures, you see religion from different perspectives. I think you have a better, clearer image about what's happening, why sufferings happen. So you connect it with the yogic science, and now you have a full image. Do I want this, or do I want this? And what Siddhartha said, or the Buddha said, stay in between, stay in the middle. So don't go extreme that way and don't go extreme the other way. Just know that they both exist, learn from each side, and just stay in between, in the middle, balanced.
Okay, that's very nice. Just yesterday, I was whenever I start my chair yoga practice, I begin quoting a particular verse, And one of the things that I quoted yesterday or 2 days ago was, people usually remember mistakes, but they don't remember the lessons. And I think it's very important that you re-emphasize that with what you just said, that it's very important that to live the kind of life that you wanted to attract and stop acting like a victim. Uh, but I am just wondering, Teacher Ayman, how do we really attract the life we wanted? What's the process behind that? And how do you propose as a yoga teacher should one do that?
Um, Interesting question. I mean, let's take a step back. Each person, each soul on this earth has a unique path, like a fingerprint, very, very unique. We cannot generalize, but we can say, for example, don't jump because you will die. So we can say facts, but it doesn't apply to everyone. Believe it or not, maybe some souls, they came here to actually suffer more than others because this is their dharma. They came here to finish from this, or maybe next life to do something else. Um, Focus on the positive things in life. It comes through culture. First of all, you learn it from your parents, and then maybe you learn it from school, and then you learn it from the culture, the street. They don't have even to say it to you. You just follow and copy what other people are doing until you get to a point you decide, hold on, this is not working. Do I want to change it? If yes, then somehow you need to go against the stream somehow. If you go against the stream enough, you start to develop patterns in your mind. So what used to be easy to be negative, it will be the opposite. It will be difficult to be negative, which is interesting. Back in the days when I have something that I have to reach, I used to get anxious. I used to get stressed about it and stuff. Now it's difficult for me to get stressed, which is amazing. And this is only like what, 8, 9, 10 years of practicing. But it's really rewarding. If we get to that level where we cannot really fall into what the normal people, common people would fall into, this is worth the time. This is worth the practice we are going through. So to all yoga teachers who are following this path, I would say just hold the vision, trust the process, and hold the vision, or hold the vision, trust the process. Because eventually it will come when you least expect it. You know, you start to change and you start to see the whole world in different perspective.
That's an inspiring message. Hold the vision and trust the process. Okay. So for today's episode, Teacher Ivan, we are going to talk about mindful living. Since mindful living has been defined and described in many various ways, differently by different people. How about you, Teacher Ayman? How have you personally practiced mindful living, and what for you is mindful living?
I'll give you an analogy. Have you ever experienced someone was calling you, but you did not hear? Maybe someone else heard and maybe nudged you and said, hey, that person is calling you. So have you?
Yeah, there were several times.
Okay. So basically what happened here, your ears picked up that person calling you, picked up, but your awareness was not focusing on what the ear is picking up. So this is an analogy very close to mindfulness. So this happens on a daily basis, that life is talking to us through senses or beyond senses, but we are not aware of those messages. Huh? When we are somehow slowed down, we have to slow down. Not physically, we have to slow down mentally, slow down the mind, the waves of the mind. When we slow it down, then we start to see things subtle, very subtle, but extremely important. Extremely important. Yesterday I gave an example in a yoga class. Usually I give a small talk after yoga class. I say, when you wash the dishes, you have a sponge with two faces. One is hard, one is soft. Usually we start with the hard and then you go flip to the soft, correct? If you have only one of them, maybe your dishes will not be as clean, as shiny. So the same thing. We start with the asana, but we go towards subtle. So we go towards meditation, pranayama, towards the mind, towards the thoughts, towards the emotions. So now it's easy for us to get rid of the old. And the more we get rid of the old, the more lighter we become. The more lighter we become, the more you come back to your home. The more this is you, this is your potential, we say. This is who you're supposed to be. And you've been from the start, but somehow your life added extra weight on top of you, and you lost your sense of self. So mindfulness, in my words, I would say it's the sense of feeling the senses. So calming down the senses so you can feel, or you become more in sync with what you're supposed to be doing down here on earth. Mindfulness. It starts physically, and then we move up slowly into more subtle until you can reach the mind. And then the laundering, the cleaning happens.
Right.
And again, it's a process. Yeah.
So, I'm just curious. Could you kindly tell us how your day looks like and how you try to live mindfully throughout your day?
So I would say don't mix things. Don't mix things. So most of the time we are mixing work with food, we're mixing spending time with loved ones, with mobile maybe, or with a game, or newspaper, or the news, or whatever. I would say let's not mix things. In my life, I would say 80%. It's not like 100%, but 80% I do not mix. If I'm sitting with you now, I'm dedicated. You are the most important person in my life. There is no time and person better than you and here. So I give all my senses to you. I, I appreciate our time. I feel I am with you. I'm present. So when I wake up in the morning, I usually go for, after the shower and everything, all the cleaning happening, and then I go to meditate a bit. If I feel energetic, I don't do asana as much like before. Now I'm more into the subtle aspect. So I do pranayama, I do meditation. I chant sometimes, I like chanting. So I dedicate the early morning, and by the way, I wake up about 4 o'clock on my own without an alarm. Yeah.
Wow.
So everyone is asleep and I do my own stuff. By the time the light is up, I make a tea, I have something small, and then I go on with my life. I teach a class or I do other stuff. When I'm with the students and someone's asking me a question, I'm dedicated. My time is my students. When I'm giving the class, I'm giving the class from my heart. So I would say not mixing times, not mixing things. And when you do something, do it. And make sure you love what you're doing, obviously. This is another thing that many people maybe they try and they say, I cannot love it. Yes, because maybe you were not supposed to do that type of work or that whatever you're doing. But again, baby steps, and eventually we'll get there.
Right. I think those are very important reminders of not mixing up things and be truly present and focused on whoever you are accommodating as of the moment. Yeah. Earlier, Teach, you mentioned about managing your own anxieties, and how yoga helped you in, not being, I think, less anxious as compared to before. With all the many things happening right now, and with all the many things that makes us nervous or anxious, how do we possibly live mindfully still?
All right. Siddhartha, again, the Buddha once said, or one of his disciples came to him and he said, I'm too busy to meditate. And then Buddha said, you need to meditate more. The more you're anxious, one polarity, the more you need to bring the other polarity, more of it, to balance yourself. The objective from meditating or calming down, again, it's not to become, somewhere in the mountain, a monk in the mountain. This is really not how I think about it. It's just to bring you back to balance. So yes, if you're eating a lot of maybe salty food, you need to drink more water, right? Not less water. The same thing, I mean, if you're more stressed, more anxious, more tired, more burnt out, definitely you need more calming practices. You need mindfulness, you need meditation, you need to breathe properly, especially when you are really angry and stuff. So there's something called inclination. For example, I'm a pitta. This is an Ayurvedic term for a dosha or constitution. If I'm a pitta, that means I'm fire. I have more fire than any other of the other elements. And therefore, I have a tendency to, for example, go to chili, to eat chili, spicy, like Filipino food maybe. So this is called inclination. So if I am more of something, this is naturally for me to go towards more of my quality. So if someone is really anxious and stressed, there will be inclination for them to go for coffee, for go to loud parties, to dance really, to go crazy basically. We have to step out of it. Yeah. Usually we step out of it in two ways. Either with a slap from the universe, we get accident, we get cancer, we get something really like traumatic, or if we are lucky, we get out of it like in a nice way. We make a decision. I say, well, no, this I don't like this. I'm gonna change. Or we cross path with someone who is a nice person, and they advise us to change and try this and try that, and then hopefully it becomes a habit and we change. Baby steps again. So mindfulness, yes, it's needed more than ever in this hectic world, chaotic world. And there are a lot of people, there is a lot of books, there are a lot of YouTube videos, there is a lot of help out there. So if someone is seeking help, it's there. You just have to know where to look. That's it.
Right. So, Teach, there are several teachers watching our episode right now. We have Teacher Seven, Teacher Stephen, and Teacher Jericho is also tuning in right now. And actually, he has a question for you. He's very interested to know, are you currently teaching online class or physical class? No, because of the current pandemic that we are experiencing, there seems to be like that anxiety of not having classes physically, even though ideally that's really the ideal setup to have classes. We would want to know, Teach Ayman, how are you teaching? Are you also teaching online or physically?
March, April, May, I did teach online every day almost, and I also did an online yoga retreat. And then at the moment now, I'm teaching physically. I'm teaching group exercise, a group class in a big studios. We are not taking the same number of people. We are taking maybe 40, 50% capacity. We keep the windows open. We have some regulation regarding hygiene. So people have to enter, they clean their hands. They have to wear the mask, not on a mat, but when they enter and they sit down on a mat. So we do have some couple of things in place. We also hope, and this is my own opinion, we also hope on improving our own immune system. I mean, we do have masks, we do have, the cleaning liquid, etc., but we also have to focus on our own well-being. We have to focus on our immune system. So we have to eat properly. We have to think properly. We have to breathe properly. Remember, this virus is attacking the chest cavity area, the lungs. So, maybe more pranayama, maybe
Right.
more abdominal breathing, maybe more happiness. So happiness equal a healthy immune system. We cannot give up to fear. In my opinion, again, this is my own opinion. I'm not saying this is a professional opinion. We cannot give up to fear and just sit at home and just weaken our immune system, and I think we have to also find balance in this. So I think moderate number of students, social distancing a bit, mask, hygiene, etc. It should do the trick. And I've been doing it now for maybe 3 months, or maybe 2 months, 3 months, and it's been fantastic. No one of my students got sick, and yeah, they're all happy.
Right. And another question still from Teacher Jericho. He is interested to know, for beginners who just started meditation, how long should they meditate? You mentioned that there are a lot of self-help channels where they can subscribe to these things, like, for example, in YouTube. But as for your experience, how do you advise this particular concern of Teacher Jericho?
Good question. Thank you for your question, first of all, Jericho. For a beginner, I would start with building the big why. Why do we need to meditate? So more talk and less of actually sitting down and teaching them, to sit down and just be silent. And I would say they need both. They need the intellectual, the reasons why, and they need the experiential experience. Let's sit and let's do it. So more of intellectual at the beginning, less experimental, and eventually they will build more experimental and they will develop their own understanding of it, and they will start to read more of it on their own time or read a book, etc., etc. So I would say developing why we are doing it, make them really want to do it because it's important to them. We call it the big why. Why? Why I should meditate. I think for beginners is the best. It could be also by just sitting down for 5 minutes and talking about it, get them excited about it, and then get them to meditate even for 3 minutes. But 3 minutes consistent rather than half an hour and they give up and they never come back to it. So I think short times at the start is more than enough.
Right. So thank you very much for those responses, Teacher Ayman. Let's now proceed to some of the questions. Do you have some tips for our viewers right now on how they can cultivate that mindfully living state?
Yes, start to wake up early. It's amazing. By just waking up early, trust me, you are giving yourself a fantastic gift. You're giving yourself, your body and mind, a fantastic gift. And again, it doesn't have to be tomorrow you start to wake up like me 4 o'clock. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Slowly. You wake up early. Don't hold your mobile the first thing when you wake up. Just stay with yourself. Observe how you feel. Is there something bothering you? Is there something you're appreciating in your life? Just listen to yourself, just 1 minute. And then maybe go do your stuff, shower, cleaning. This is the first thing I think about when I wake up. So the cleaning part is finished. Now, obviously, maybe the whole household is asleep. You can maybe sit down and do yoga, just a couple of asanas, maybe a couple of rounds of sun salutation. But your body will thank you for it. Sit down, maybe breathe, do pranayama, anuloma viloma. Your breath will thank you for it. Your mind will thank you for it. And maybe do a cup of tea, and hopefully, you can maybe grab a book that you wanted to finish for a long time, and now you have time to finish it. Get the intellect to be built again. The intellect is extremely important to awaken, and reading is a fantastic way to do this. And then go on with your day. Every now and then, take a break. If you're at work, go outside, close your eyes, and take a deep breath like this. And see how amazing that feels. Just one single deep breath. It makes you feel, I'm connected. I love life. This is amazing. This is beautiful job. This is a beautiful city. This is beautiful world. I love it. Surround yourself with like-minded people. It's extremely important. Extremely important. So that's why here we have a Guru Yoga community. About 80 of us now. Quality community. Not just numbers, quality members. We help each other. We uplift each other. We do gatherings. We do retreats together. Every now and then you sit down and just talk about the truth instead of talking about gossiping and the politics and all the stuff. Talk about the truth and support each other. When we see other people doing something positive, it's easy for us to do it. If we see other people doing something negative, again, it's we learn from that. We learn from what we see. So surrounding ourselves with like-minded people, very important. Very, very important. When you eat, at least the first 5 minutes, eat in silence. You can talk, but just take 5 minutes, look at your food, smell your food, take a bite, close your eyes, feel that food inside your mouth. Feel it. You start to pick up taste you probably never tasted before. There will be connection between you and your stomach, the second brain. I think this is enough tips.
Yeah, I think those are wonderful tips. Although I'm kind of guilty with the idea that it's so hard to wake up in the morning, Teach. I think I can do a lot of what you have suggested, but waking up in the morning is going to be my my challenge, really.
What time do you wake up?
I wake up around 6:30 in the morning.
This is good. No, you don't have to be 4. 6 is fantastic.
Right,
Slowly build it in a way that just before the sunrise, just before.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of things to think about on how to, change some of the things that we've been doing so that we can live more mindfully. I'm interested to know, Teacher Ayman, what areas in your life, because you seem so zen and so peaceful and so okay, I'm thinking, what areas in your life do you want to be more mindful more, or areas in your life that you feel challenges you to be mindful?
Let me think. You know, this is every yoga teacher falls in this, not just me. Um, when you start to do yoga, let's say certain asana, it's difficult, and then becomes so easy. The same thing with everything in life, taking decisions, being stress-free, being confident, all that. Also, the mental plane at the beginning is difficult, and then gets easier. Now, sometimes we might imply that it is easier for everyone else as well. We forget that people are not the same. With the simple things, even the inhalation, mine might be really long. So to expect someone to inhale as slow as you, it's a mishap. It's a mistake. So I would say maybe this is something I really need to be more mindful of, that people don't have the same experience, the same side of life, and we need to be aware of this much more, especially in a group.
Right. Yeah, I think that that's really a challenge. Teachers like us is to really be patient with whoever we meet along the way. Right.
Yes.
So, I teach some few final questions. How do you bring this mindful living beyond your mat, like in your family or even in your relationships? Diba, we is it that we actually encourage our students to, bring whatever they learn on the mat and beyond the mat and how they live their lives. How do we bring this mindful living beyond the mat? We've been talking earlier about asanas as a way of reflecting of how things are done in reality. I'm interested to know from you, Teach, how do you bring that mindful mindset or living beyond the mat?
Point number one, I would say, learn by becoming the model. Um, teach by becoming the model. Teach by become the teachings. So do it yourself first, and eventually people will pick up the benefit. They will pick up what you're doing, and they will ask you about it, and they will pick it up themselves.
Right.
So it's called teaching by example. The second one, I would say, when you knock on metal, one hammer at a time. Every time you knock, if the metal is heated, and that's hatha yoga, we heat. We heat the metal, and you are the metal. The teacher comes and knock today. Tomorrow also knock. Eventually, it doesn't seem like a lot to knock once, but eventually that metal will turn into a plate, a pot, or whatever. So one knock at a time, with the heating, proper heating of the metal, eventually it will take a proper shape. So one knock at a time.
Right,
You
right,
day by day you pass on your teachings. Um, Whoever has come to ask, answer according to your ability, according to your yeah, and then eventually people will will start practicing it at some when I am ready at some point.
Right. I'm sure that you've experienced teaching for a long time now. That there are some individuals who are quite hesitant to go into practicing yoga. What would you like to tell them?
Mm. I totally understand because yoga has been taken for a ride and people kind of showing yoga to be almost acrobats, almost circus. And I do sometimes get people saying, oh, I'm scared. I don't want to do yoga, or I'm not flexible enough. But I say, but yoga is not about flexibility. Flexibility is something we get along the way as a byproduct, but this is not our objective. It's not a stretching class. So I understand that it's basically called incorrect knowledge or incorrect perception. They perceived yoga as something that is not. So we have to educate people. If they are not ready to be educated, then they just think that even some people or some religion leaders, they think that yoga is make of a devil. That's okay.
Right.
So, but education is part of it, and just doing our work. Eventually, people again, maybe the first time they pass the class and they say, this is not for me, the second time, the third time, and they start to come to the class, and then they found out, I wish if I've done it earlier.
Right, right. So, Teach, it has been a pleasure conversing with you, and I sincerely learned a lot from you in this quite short of a time, and I'm sure that all our viewers are learning as well at this particular point in time. But just a last question coming from another yoga teacher, Teacher Jericho, would like to know what is your message for future yoga teachers? I think this is a very, very nice way to end our amazing conversation for this afternoon.
What is his message for future yoga teachers? Can I have two messages?
Sure, sure.
Once you finish your teacher training course, immediately start teaching. Immediately. Do not postpone it. Do not think you're not good enough. You are good enough. And you will get better when you start teaching. This is message number one. Message number two, um, a great yoga teacher is a great student. You know, once you become a fantastic student, you will be fantastic teacher. Do not think that you have achieved. I'm not gonna learn anymore. No, you're not. You're not a good teacher then. So keep learning, keep practicing, keep acting as a student of other teachers and life, and you'll be a fantastic teacher. That's it.
Amazing. We will certainly put that into heart. Teacher Ivan, thank you very much for those wonderful, wonderful life lessons and responses to our conversation. I truly, truly am very fortunate to talk with you and to learn from you, Teach. Hopefully, when things get well, we are continuously praying for your country, and when things get well, and if you plan to visit our country, we will be very much welcome to accommodate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Same with you. If you come ever to Lebanon, you let me know.
Definitely, definitely. So, Teach, as always, as how we end our conversations in any of our yoga classes, we place our palms together in front of us and acknowledging the greatness in each one of us. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Teach. And we're going offline now. Thank you very much to all our viewers. I hope you learned something this afternoon. God bless you all.
God bless you. Take care. Thank you.